Thank you for joining us today for 10X Advisory and the AI era. I'm Elizabeth Davis, Chief Growth Officer at For Impact Data. I am joined today by Alexis. Alexis, you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. I'm Alexis, Growth Marketing Manager at For Impact Data.
Alexis will be monitoring any questions you have, so please feel free to put those into the chat as we go through. I'd love to keep this interactive. We have a smaller group, so I should be able to answer all of your questions. If not, we will follow up. All right, so for the agenda, we're going to talk about some of the challenges with traditional advisory, how AI helps, a couple of tools that are hot right now in the industry that you may be able to put into play. Again, these are just a few of many of the ones that I've heard about different advisory firms using. I'm going to do a quick demo of For Impact Data. Again, this is high level, show you how top firms are using it to streamline their processes. We'll have Q&A. Again, we'll sprinkle those throughout, but we'll make sure to stop at the end. We'll also share some additional events that we have coming up. And then at the end of all my presentations, I like to include a recipe, what's for dinner. If you stay through to the end, I'll give you that recipe card. So you might have a unique idea of a low calorie, high protein, low carb dinner idea. All right. So the current challenges that are facing the advisory model is growth. Challenges with growing, there's a lot of pressure to grow advisory or the CAS practice beyond, at CPA firms, beyond the traditional tax and audit. We see that's the biggest growth perspective right now, but a lot of times accountants don't know how to do that. And then they'll say that their team is maxed out. So we have an advisory capacity challenge. So one advisor in traditional model can serve between 6 to 9, usually about 8 is the sweet spot of clients. And then beyond that, they're really limited in their capacity to fully serve. So even if we did grow the client base, how are we going to serve them? And then improving client impact. So this is a big topic right here. Bank of America identified many years ago that if you had 3 or more service lines with your clients, they were highly unlikely to leave you. So in the traditional banking model, that would be savings, checking, maybe a mortgage, a line of credit, something like that. They would stay. It's the same way in our advisory model or our client firms. We find that if you have multiple streams of service with your clients, less likely to leave. So if you do their taxes, you do their outsourced bookkeeping, controllership, or FP&A, CFO services, it would be much harder for them to leave you than if you just do taxes. But how do we change the old way of doing things? Where we're doing phishing, it wasn't very targeted. Again, we have that capacity issue of only being able to serve 6 to 9 advisory clients. It's very historical. We're looking at the past and not being able to predict so much of the future. And then the abilities are fostered in an individual that grows up in the firm. Right now, we have an aging partner senior population where I've heard up to 50% of our partners are going to be aging out in the next 5 years. I've heard 40%. The numbers look bleak. We have to get that knowledge into the younger generations. And then again, margins are very limited in the old time and billing model. So to move into the new world of 10X Advisory, we have to be very targeted in our growth. We want to make sure that top talent can surface up to 100 clients. I hear 50 to 100 clients for top advisors. When we put new capacity models in place, we move from being a historian to a navigator. That's what clients are looking for. They want people who are going to help them look into the future, put steps and actions in place to improve those outcomes. And then we want to codify the institutional knowledge, making sure that if we lose that partner, we still have younger, less experienced staff that can step up and help advise the client base. And then to make our margins scalable when transactional activities are being marginalized with outsourcing or offshoring, AI, we have to move to more of a value-based pricing model as opposed to time and billing. We have a whole program put together on stepping into this. We have 7 pillars of that, which we could, if you ask for it, Alexis and I can send it to you after this. So again, in that old growth model, to move into advisory, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, takes hours just to do the research to find the clients to target. And then you have to do partner interviews, you trust your gut instinct, and then the prep time to get in front of, once you get the introduction to the client, the prep before that meeting, tons of hours, 3 to 4 hours to do interviews, to do data mining, very manual process, and then making recommendations, and then finally closing. So you do all this time, and it's 50-50 whether or not you'll get the opportunity to work with the client. In the new world, we use AI to identify risk and opportunities and make recommendations. And then we can prioritize the clients that we want to reach out to, spend more time client facing and less time doing the research. So it all boils down to targeting the right clients at the right time. So we want to uncover, understand, and upsell. And this is a couple of AI solutions that can help with this. For Impact Data, if you have the bookkeeping client base, we can hook in your entire client base and identify risk and opportunities, make recommendations, and find those projects that you could undertake with your clients to help grow them, prevent risk that they have, help cut it off before it happens, and then retain those clients at a higher level. And then when it comes to, once you can see you're connected to all those clients, you see you have a concentration or a specialization in a certain area, you can use tools like Perplexity to do additional market research, to look at the industry landscapes and help you personalize pitches so that once you're going beyond an existing client base, targeting new clients in a specific vertical or a market, your messaging will land better. It'll help you find the type of targets you want and the personas. And then on top of that, there is account-based marketing that will look for indicators in the space. My favorite solution for this is ZoomInfo. There's lots of tools out there where you can see, okay, are they going for funding? Are they doing hiring? Are they looking for a solution or a service like one I offer? There are signals out there that tools like ZoomInfo, 411 Leads will do that account-based marketing and pick up the signals and can serve them up to you if you have them ready. I like being able to use that for, again, company research if you're looking for a micro vertical, the right people, and the right timing. Do we have a question, Alexis?
I was just posting a reminder in the chat. If you have any questions or if we need to slow down, just let us know.
Okay. All right. Just a raise of hands right now. Is there anyone, raise your hand if you are doing targeted outreach for your advisory right now? You can do a reaction. No one? How about if you would like to be doing targeted outreach? Okay. I'm happy to set up a conversation and talk through that, use my experience there. Okay. So if we expand, if we are able to land the clients, we have to be able to serve them. So we need to be able to expand on our capacity. So that's where a solution like For Impact Data comes in handy, where it'll monitor your entire client base. So beyond the transactional, your bookkeeping, your controllership, monitor for those bigger risk projects and the opportunities to help your client base faster. For Impact Data serves up recommendations so you can have very quickly find what conversations need to be had with your clients. It provides a one-click snapshot or reports and serves that up in an easy to consume manner. And then a lot of clients I work with who are doing the bookkeeping, they're like, we've got some process automation challenges. So there's a lot of back office automation tools out there. One of my favorite is Flowcast. They were really big a bunch of years ago, and they've recently added a lot of AI to their solution. So they automate transaction matching. They do intelligent variance analysis, customized controls, streamline auditing, a lot of the things that are needed to close the books faster. Again, there's other tools out there that are fantastic. This is one that I have a lot of familiarity with. And then when you talk about top firms, we have, if you're doing all the things you should be doing and client facing most of the time, sometimes the conversations run together. My best days, this happens to me. So it's important to have an AI note taker involved. So you can have those notes served up to you when you're going through the end of your day, making sure that you're prepared for your next meeting and taking action items. One of the really cool ones in the advisory space that I've seen is Jump. It captures, not only does it's purpose built for advisors, it captures those notes. It can automate them into your CRM if you have one. Hopefully you do if you're looking to grow quickly. It provides a meeting one pager, and then it also will surface patterns in your meetings. So if you're having the same subject come up over and over again with clients, you can make sure that you're on top of it, that you understand the topic, and that you can ask it to the broader client base. You're like, I'm hearing this challenge is coming up, and making sure that you're addressing it where it needs to be addressed. It'll also surface up other conversations that if you're at a CPA firm, you have a tax partner or different partners interacting, maybe wealth management, it can surface up the latest conversation with that client. So it looks like you're more of a cohesive team that maybe you might be. And then even though we talk about moving away from time and billing to a more value-based pricing model, it's still important to recognize where the team is spending their time. There's a lot of really cool AI tools out there that will do this. My personal favorite right now is Laurel. Not only does it do screen captures of, not only does it capture calendar where you had client meetings, it'll also do screen captures if you log into, for example, your QuickBooks Online, and you've looked into a client's portal to do some quick research. Maybe someone asked you a question, you log in. It can log that billing time for you. I've heard it saves up to 20 minutes a day when it comes to logging the time. So it's pretty cool solution that's out there. All right. Excuse me. Any questions? All right, I'll move on. So in order to 10x our advisory, there's 5 steps we have to put in place. And that's we have to connect to our connect and baseline. So plug in the data and see the truth. I'm no longer surprised by how many firms I work with that can't tell me how many client advisory clients they have, what verticals they're in, what's the revenue makeup. It was something that I found really surprising at first. And then now I'd be surprised if they knew. So if you're in the place where you're like, I think it's about, you're in good company. So we have to, first we have to connect to that. We got to get a good understanding of the lay of the land. What does our client base look like? Who are our best clients? Again, that'll help us go and target. I want more of my best and less of my worst. So we can better choose the markets that we enter and expand into. This will also help us when we come to package and pricing. We have to have an understanding of what that base looks like in order to put together the right packages and pricing. If all of your clients are under 5 million, you're probably not going to have $20,000 a month packages. You might have a few clients like that, but that's not going to be your standard. So you can better align your productized offering to what the biggest base looks like. And then again, going back to that targeted outreach and pipeline boost, it's making sure we call the right prospects at the right time. So we can pick up on the signals that are in the market. There are really cool, very creepy solutions out there that will help you know when the market signals are for buying. for your potential prospects. This also works for your client base. If you work for a large CPA firm that has lots of service lines, there's no way your clients know about all the services you offer. A lot of times people inside a firm don't know all the services that are offered. So it's important that you're monitoring even your existing client base. So if they're looking for a solution you offer, you can be the first one to go. It's another reason why we have account, right, like quarterly business reviews with our clients to make sure that if there's something they're looking to undertake and we can provide that service, we're the first to do it. And we have to enable our advisors so we can scale them up. So we're scaling brains and not bodies. Grow their capacity. Again, take away, if we can AI automate as much manual work as possible out of their processes, whether it's scheduling, whether it's timekeeping, anything that's manual, redundant, there's a potential to automate that with an AI agent. And then also make sure they're empowered to move away from a controllership or a transactional role up to the trusted advisor role. A lot of firms have people who've just been doing more of the transactions, head down, but they have a great base of knowledge. They've just never had those proactive conversations. So we need to make sure that we're empowering them. For Impact Data, we do that. We serve up some of the information and guidance along with additional support from your local CPA societies or other places where we could get some of that support and education as well. And then we have to automate and optimize and expand. So run it like a product as efficiently as possible. Okay. That takes us over to the demo. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and switch screens. If there's any questions before I go in, just let me know. See, escape. All right. Okay, Alexis, can you see my For Impact Data screen?
Yes.
All right, awesome. A lot of times there is a lag, guys, when I go through this with the visual sharing, just to let you know. All right, so this is what the For Impact Data Monitor Center looks like. So this comes back to when we talk about this 5-step process of 10xing your advisory, the first thing you have to do is plug in the data and look at your base. So here you could see an entire book of business for a firm. All of the different organizations here, red, yellow, green. Green is good. Yellow is there might be some risk. And red is there's some things we need to consider and address with our clients. So if I click into any of the firms, you can see it. I get a business health indicator score here based on liquidity, profitability, debt to equity, solvency, and sales activity. And I also get an AI summary right here. It'll tell me what's going on with the income of the client, the liquidity, profitability, margins, and then potential projects. If you have project-based advisory groups that take on larger projects that could be undertaken, or advice you could recommend to your clients, like, okay, working capital improvement model, cost reductions, expansions. You'll see a lot of similar project recommendations across your firms, but that is, pretty typical. A lot of firms could do cost reductions. That is actually a big project that I see a lot of advisory firms taking on right now, is to do spend analysis, vendor renegotiations to try to reduce the costs. It's a big ticket item. If I had questions about anything on this page, on any of the pages in For Impact Data, I can jump over to the helper screen, and there's some additional guidance here. We are working to put in calculations here, because if we're dealing with accountants, a lot of times they want to know exactly where the numbers came from. So we'll be seeing that, I believe, in our next release. So these explainers help guide us in our conversations. And then I can just hop back over to the main page. So this is where a lot of the firms I work with will start with their book of business. So they have an overview of, oh, okay, I really need to follow up with Axe Capital, for example. I've been meaning to follow up with them, and man, looks like I need to do this quickly, have a conversation about their debt. Then we were talking about putting together pricing and packaging. We need to also analyze our client base by industry, by size. And right here, we've built this right in. Now, a question I commonly get asked is, what is the uplift for a firm, an advisory firm, to get this data in here? And this is simply just from For Impact data, hooking into the core system, whether it's QuickBooks or Xero, Sage Intacct, or NetSuite, with the SCIS codes, the codes in the back end that do the industry. That's what we pull in here. Occasionally we'll have to or suggest some changes when we get into the details. For example, I had an eyeglass manufacturer that was showing up in healthcare when really they're manufacturing. But that happens in all the time in those industry codes, so you can change them in the system. Very different than a lot of, well, some of the larger firms I've worked with, they've undergone a very painful process to do this. We just simply hook into the books. Now, if I wanted to see what, I have professional services here as my largest outbreak of industry of clients. So I can click onto that and I can see, okay, most of these are in the $1 million to $5 million range of revenue. Again, so I can understand if I'm targeting a package for professional services firms, an offering, I want it to fall into something that would be reasonable for those $1 million to $5 million annual revenue clients. Now, if I would like to target my largest, highest revenue clients, for example, where are they? Where is the focus here? So I could click into that. This is a Power BI. You can see heavily manufacturing, no surprises. I can see where they're located. If they were all in Texas, for example, where I'm located, it would show the different areas they are zoomed in, which is pretty cool. And I can also see they have some transportation, professional services overlap as well. There, I think this is the eyeglasses here, healthcare, manufacturing. All right, from there, when it comes to providing advice for an advisor needs support providing advice for their clients. The area that I see most often used is the AI Advisor Financial. And right here, I have 2 clients that are selected, Dunder Mifflin, 3 clients here, Dukes, Dunder Mifflin, and Dunder Mifflin Nassau, all rolled up. It's not unusual to, when I work with firms, that they will have one owner with multiple locations. They want to be able to look at the financial performance of the individual locations and the roll up. So we have the ability to roll those up within the software. So right here, we have some key questions that business owners need to answer, like how long, how you need to answer this for your client. How long can my client stay in business with no revenue? Well, right now they have 88 days of cash. So it's pretty good, but also the organization has limited liquidity. So we talk about some projects. So that's more of a high risk there. We'd like to see something more closer to several months worth, right? So the organization has limited liquidity and may face challenges. And then what can we do? Again, that cost reduction measures, that's a hot topic or a hot item for advisory firms to offer right now. Revenue stream evaluations. How can we increase their revenue? How can we reduce their spend? And then also, okay, is my client generating enough cash? We see this as high risk, right? So not just what to do, what can we do about it? So it's not just the things to do, action items for the advisors to take. And these are based off of the knowledge of leaders in the industry who have given the feedback on it's not just what to do, but things we can do. And then again, when it comes to scaling our ability to advise, we need something to give to our clients on a regular basis. A lot of firms I've talked with, they're like, yes, I give my clients monthly reporting packages. They don't open them. Then they'll come to me when they need to go and get a loan. They're like, can you send me my P&L report? And they're like, I send it to you every month. They've never opened it. So this is one right here that we find. This is the top sent out report to the clients. I have some firms who are trying to be creative in their education with their clients, and they'll jump on and they'll do a Loom video with their face down in the corner, talk through the financials, let them know what it means, like how are you performing over time, give them the overview, send off the Loom video, attach the report. I can export this in either a PDF. So I don't know why that. A PDF, a PowerPoint, or Excel. Or if there was one graph that I was particularly interested in, I could pop it out, screen grab it, and drop it into a PowerPoint or an email or however I wanted to present this to them to talk and send this through. This is the most common one that I see being sent. Again, like educationally for the clients. And then also this financial overview, very popular: revenue, cost again, goods sold, OPEX, cash, profit, some nice graphs where you could see some trending. And then thirdly, for clients is the cash flow advisor. Cash is king. So what makes up our cash? We have our revenue, our expenses, cash, profitability, and days of cash outstanding here. And then a little bit of insights right here. So those are the top reports that I see being sent to clients on the end. And again, just like the other report, if you need to do a roll up, you can select multiple locations, multiple companies, and roll them up to give an overview for your owners. Any questions before I move on, Alexis?
A lot of clients tend to ask, what kind of systems does For Impact data connect to? How can we connect?
Yeah, so for QuickBooks and Xero at a firm level, for example, like, so if we go back up to the business health indicator, it's very simple. Just grant us firm access and we go in as an agent of the firm, and we can connect to whatever books you want to grant us access to, whether it's 1, 10, 1,000. And then you could have that whole view, break it down by different advisors, specialty states, whatever you want to do location wise. And then if you are a VCFO, like an end of VCFO, you're not keeping the books, you have firms on different systems, we'll usually log in just like you will. We'll use login of the firm and use API calls. We'll basically, for Sage and Tax, a very common one, we'll need 12 months. We pull 3 years of data, but we'll need a 12-month P&L and 12 months of balance sheet to pull in and base the analytics off of that. Same thing with NetSuite. So we're ERP agnostic. I even have a client who most of their clients have QuickBooks. They get enough value out of our software that they give us some Great Plains flat files, those 12-month reports, on a quarterly basis for them to do their quarterly business reviews, because they've built out their process with For Impact data, and they don't want to change that for the few still old on-prem clients they have. So we have that capability as well.
What's the typical implementation time? How long would it take?
Well, it's not a true implementation. Usually the thing that takes the longest is the back and forth on getting access. It's usually a few days, and then a few days on top of that for QA. Typically, especially if it's a firm view on QuickBooks or Xero, which is the largest groups, someone signs up on a Friday and we can have their onboarding meeting on the next Friday. So that gives us time to get connected, do some quality assurance, and then set up time. With some Sage Intacct or NetSuite or anything like that, it takes, again, it's not a big process on the end of the client, but it'll take us usually a little bit longer because we'll have to say, okay, we need someone to build out the historical reports that are not always in the system that we leverage. And then they might have non-standard chart of accounts. So we'll have to ask a few questions, go back and forth. It's usually just emails back and forth. So I'd say like a week and a half. And it's usually very light on the client end. It's more intensive on our end.
Okay. And does For Impact Data have customer service representatives where people can reach out and help and ask questions as they move through it?
We have client success. A lot of the firms we work with right now will just text their client success person a lot of times because we're still a small business. But we have an online portal with questions that'll get routed to whoever is first available, which shouldn't be me because I'm on the road a lot. It's a good question. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing and pop back over to the PowerPoint unless there's any other, do we have any technical questions?
We have a question from Lori Bradley. She says, are we able to get access to the demo to share with others in our firm?
Yeah, absolutely. So I could, for Lori, I can either send you this recording or Alexis and I have some, have some interactive demos we've built out that you could get into and poke around, or a video. So if you'll just let us know, we can send those over, either this recording or one of our others. Again, I'm happy to jump on and have an interactive conversation. I think that's better. So you can ask your questions individually as we go through too. Other questions? All right. Right now we have some upcoming events. Wednesday, the 29th of October, we have the BDO AI Summit session where Eric Eager is going to be talking about growing CAS in the AI era, moving from phishing to targeted. So we'll be talking specifically about growth. And then on Sunday, the 2nd of November, we'll be participating in the ITA Fall Collaborative. Wednesday, the 19th of November, BDO CAS Summit. I'll be doing a session moving from imposter syndrome to impact. So using AI to overcome imposter syndrome. I'm really excited about that session. And then Sunday, the 7th of December, we'll be at DCPA in Washington, D.C. That week. The team will be there. Very excited about that. And then we have a couple other upcoming webinars that should be interesting. We're doing one on selling the value of CAS internally. Yet to be scheduled. I think we're looking at Thursday, the 11th of December for that. So that's something that I hear a lot of times, is that CAS is treated like client advisory services is treated like the redhead stepchild of firms. So we'll get that going. I'll be looking to bring the imposter syndrome session to a wider audience. And then also looking at scheduling some additional webinars on the 7 pillars of CAS readiness over the next couple of months as well. I think that wraps us up. So we have our what's for dinner, mozzarella chicken. Take a screen grab if you want to. This is one of our favorite recipes. You can do low-fat cheese. Mozzarella usually is a low-fat cheese. And I think that wraps us up. So thank you so much for joining us today. Happy to have you. If you'd like an individual demo, we're glad to get that scheduled for you with your group so you can ask your own questions and we can have more of a consultative conversation about where you are on your advisor readiness journey, how For Impact Data may be able to help you, and if there's any other resources out there that we might be able to provide. Thank you. Have a great day.